It is 3:33, May 4th, 2018. Empress, Empress, Empress. I was just trying to take mental notes about what I want to say on Lighting the Void, Joe Roop show on Tuesday. Within talking to Joe, I came up with the idea to talk about the Illuminati, the actual illuminated souls, and those who seek control and basically to kill life. So what I've been riffing about, I've been getting little hints from the universe, and when they come from Rashmi, I don't think they're hints. I think she's literally saying it. During our conversation last night, Rashmi said, and nobody needs to speak about the Illuminati anymore. These are duality. We are beyond this. And it's hilarious because it's exactly the topic of my next subject. And she's telling me not to do it, basically. And I'm like, screw that. I got to get this out. Don't stop me. And there was another random thing that came up that said, you better think about what you're doing before you do it. It was in the boiler in the back of my mind, and I was letting it bubble in the cauldron. And as it bubbled, I got resistance from the outside world. What's this resistance? And so it's that I'm not being simple enough. As an Aquarian, 6 planets in air, I was not being zen enough, the proper chef. I put way too much spice on that food and like a pile of salt on the left just to keep them fortified. Like Rashmi said, keep it simple in the fact that what is the dirt and how do we remove it from the window to clear the perception? It's getting to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, there's all these labels: Nazis, communism, Zionists, Cathars, fucking Dracul, Orions now. We've got all the planetary starseed systems and all those people souls. And then we've got every pantheon ever imagined, all those people. And so, yes, the dimensions are merging, no doubt about it, because all of these energy forms that reflect God's light are now available all at once. They're all here and they're present, and those who can hear them are hearing them. So that makes them even more present, more real in our reality. My point was, I was putting on too many labels and words, which comes from my conspiracy theorist side. That's my logical side. Boiling it down, I've already done this. It's dark consciousness. And that's where I started, dark consciousness. And this is where I'm going to end, dark consciousness. Now you can go, I went through the whole chessboard for 12 years of, okay, that's black, okay, that's white. And why did that get black, and why is that white? How did that stay pure, and how did that get impure? And it's an alchemy thing, really, and it's really easy to speak in alchemical languages because they're kind of universal people, like music, because they're tones and notes and colors and vibrations, and they're easier to break down because they're more pure, simple. And that's what I'm trying to get at here. How can I speak about good, love, and bad, evil, to make it black and white, to help them see the chessboard? This aspect that I'm talking about with Illuminati is the chessboard itself. Yes, the Masons are the best example symbolically of what's going on here. Their art tells the story of what's going on here. But to say it is only the Masonic Society that is doing this is redonkulous. It's dark consciousness in general, and it can take any form, be it a head Mason, be it a president, be it the person that cuts your hair. I'm also aware anyone can be an agent. Anyone can be overshadowed or jumped into by darkness if that person, the person that's getting jumped into, is not sovereign, does not know that they're a child of God. All those people are compromisable because they have no will. When you are not claiming yourself and for God, And I also realize for most people, this kind of black and white teaching is also too advanced, which is, it's frustrating to me. Having to start below grade 1 makes me wonder if the work will ever get done. So below grade 1 is psychology. We take them from what they know, which they don't know usually. How many people have studied psychology even? You can baby step them over into where we're at, which is beyond science, beyond time and space, beyond linear measurement, beyond physical chemicals, beyond anything physical. And in psychology, we learn about defense mechanisms, we learn about abuse, we learn about mind control, we learn about the subconscious and dreams, how the subconscious can actually write your next day like a script. If you brainwash yourself enough, like in the movie The Secret, or the book The Secret, which was actually based on the Kybalion, which is Hermes' work, half-truths and disinformation abound. We call them false prophets, and they've been predicted for centuries, and they're here. En masse, en masse, they are here. And they are shutting out the light workers. They're shutting out the truth tellers. There's so much BS. Like the pile of poo is reaching mountainous proportions, and the light workers are shouting from the bottom of the mountain saying, hey, we kind of have some solutions here. We have some answers here. And the poop just keeps growing. And people reach for the poop and ignore the truth tellers and the light workers. And it's frustrating too. So there's many different levels of frustration going on here for the advanced teachers, those who teach the teachers. I am one of those who teaches the teachers. And it's not fun being grandma right now in that sense. Having my wisdom is hard to bear. And I know other ladies like me who also have this burden currently. And I have compassion for all of us. I just get the feeling that regular people would think, oh, poor you, you've got all this spiritual gold and you're just suffering, oh, poor you. Like sarcastic bullshit assholes. Like, screw you. You have no idea what it is to carry this burden. And they don't, and they never will. And that's the truth. They'll never understand. And it's sad. So compassion all around, even for the haters too. But it's no fun being hated on top of it all by the poo pile saying, oh, you're weird, you're making everything up. Like whatever they're doing, they're going to tell you you're doing it, which is like the Hillary Clinton campaign. He's colluding with Russia. Wait a minute, I'm colluding with Russia. That's hilarious. I know, they always accuse you of what they're doing, and that is part of the dark consciousness. Dark consciousness, when you just take all the labels off of it that you all are licking like lollipops. Oh my God, you put this sucker in your mouth with a label on it. Oh, I'm anonymous. And then you just get obsessed with becoming something you're not because you got a whiff of freedom, because you got a whiff of the truth. But there's so much disinformation in it, and your ego is already so blinded, twisted, and it's like you've been spinning and you can't grab your bearings, and you're not grounded, and you're not in meditation, most importantly, and you're not speaking with your heart. You are totally in logic brain lockdown of being red pilled, which is great. You know, the red pill lasts for a while for some people. It can take people a long time to integrate all these conspiracies and how horrifying the past has been. And then you start integrating your past lives, and you're like, holy God, I can't believe I was a martyr. I can't believe people killed me, and how I felt so vulnerable. You know, you go through all of that, not just your childhood in this life, but all your lives, dudes. It's wow, it's like being raked over the coals. If you're lucky, If you're lucky, you get this experience, you see. We are thankful and grateful for these things, but they do kill you over and over and over again. But you don't die, you see. Parts of you die. Other parts of you start to live. As I describe dark consciousness, my point is that is the principality. That is the way it has been described in the past, and people could cognize what that meant correctly. A principality. Now, where'd that come from? Alchemy. Yes, it did. Principles, principalities, consciousness, black goo, prime matter, prima materia, the stuff that which we transmute from lead to gold. You must start with raw material, prima materia. What color is prima materia? It's black. Why is that? Because it's the Mahamudra, it's the void, it's a 0 point. Yet it has been made what you might call manifest or physical. And because most people do not see with a psychic eye, they cannot understand that most of what they look at is black and white. There's light and absence of light. Light and absence of light. Light and absence of light. The absence of light has become animated. The absence of light has become animated. The absence of light has become animated. Why? Because you're divine creator creatures. And the more you think and feel, emote, put energy into an idea, you create a tulpa, a figure, a figment. What is a figment? It's a part of something else. It's part of you and your fear, creating this tulpa. So, for example, a psychic like me may see somebody walking up the stairs with a hunched back and notice that that person is in a lot of pain, and that's a chronic pain, that their back is rounded, and they look very unjuiced, depressed, repressed, and empty, sick. I can look above them and see the creature that they have co-created with fear and dark consciousness, the thing that is feeding upon that person. So to me, let's say it looks like an old hag, really stringy, slimy almost, and wrinkly, old, sucky hag. And I look closer and I see this hag has a different face. It bears the face of this man's mother. So therefore he has taken all of his psychic junk that he has about his mom, and he has turned it into his own suffering prison, to where even if his mother is dead, she's still with him, eating and feeding off of him, and he is a co-victim in this. But he agrees to it. And does he agree out of ignorance, or does he agree because he doesn't know himself? Obviously, he obviously doesn't know himself, or he would be able to separate his pain from his experience, like the story. The story is circumstantial. You're born with a negative mother. You have to deal with that. You become a superhero, or you let it eat you. This man chose to let it eat him. Was it laziness? That's what the big philosopher says. That the problem with humankind is that they're lazy. But I don't believe so. I believe you make a black or a white choice. And that's what people don't seem to want to believe. I don't know why. But people think you can't choose to be evil and enjoy it and ride out your life as a materialist, and then when you die, you never come back. You're just done. You're a shooting star, you went supernova, and you are no more. There's no eternal, immortal consciousness in people who have sold their souls to darkness. All they get is a material existence, one life. They burn like bright shining stars, and then they're gone forever. Forever. We never get that back. That was a seed that didn't take root. That was a flower that didn't bloom. And being gardeners of the universe, we have the sense of detachment when we're no longer in the body form, no longer in third, fourth dimensional consciousness, when we're beyond duality. We see that sometimes parts of the garden die. They get overtaken by the weeds. And this is our perspective. Do we love the plants? Yeah, we wouldn't be here if we didn't love the plants a lot. And that you can't compare your physical existence to a flower means you have an ego issue. If you think you're greater than a flower and you're like, don't compare me to an animal and don't compare me to a flower. If you have these issues, then you don't understand your own divine physical nature and how majestic the earth really is. And we love you as the flowers of the soul garden. And we don't diminish you or think that you're less of a creation. We believe in you, and we're bringing you into the light to grow you and to blossom you, should you choose to come. But you can choose not to, and you can choose a life of excess, success. Why do they call it suck? Because it's a vampire, and then you're dead. You're gone forever. You're not an immortal. I believe it was William Blake who called it the second death, the satanic death. But as a gardener, I just see it as weeds overtaking a beautiful, what could have been a rose. And yeah, that's sad. But God is infinite, infinitely creative. And God will wipe every tear. I have total faith in those above me and that one above them. There is an issue that occurs, a fiction, a friction, a rub that occurs that creates and amplifies and perpetuates a state of mind of chasing one's tail. This logical loop process is based upon lack of faith, lack of spine, lack of knowledge of self. The logical mind can become the adversary and the one being accused, victim, I suppose, you. And then there's this opposing voice and possibly also a good voice. One could say all these voices are you. One could say the adversary is actually a proponent of dark consciousness that has found its way into your body-mind system. And this repetitive negative voice has become that tulpa, that entity that I had spoken of before. There's no guilt or problem or shame in having a negative voice, because usually they were developed in our childhood and they were mechanisms to survive. Psychological warfare. Because a lot of us were being abused by those who claimed to love us the most, those closest to us. So we had no idea that it wasn't normal, and we had no idea what actual love felt like. Thank goodness not everybody had to go through this, but if you did, you're advanced. If you've made it past feeding these shadows. And so how do you do that? Well, you've got a repetitive voice in your head. Let's take a female, for example. Her mother is a selfish narcissist, jealous of her own daughter. I've seen this a lot. And so the girl becomes a ballerina. She becomes bulimic. She becomes a ghost, a tulpa of what her mother wants in a daughter, which is vampiric. So she's feeding off the daughter and pushing the daughter at the same time, because literally she hates her child, because literally she hates herself. Now the kid in society will be blamed for this, and she will be shamed and she will be mocked, unless she develops those defense mechanisms that make her into the perfect prima ballerina. She's just a little underweight. That's her only issue. She's just a little underweight. Right. She's puking. She's not eating, and she's about to die because the vampire has fed. And so that's just one example of a narcissistic parent feeding off their child. But I'll let you know, this happens beyond the physical. Ghosts, dead people, your ancestors will grab a fork and try to eat your light too. Any hungry ghost in your family lineage is after the light worker, the shaman, the blessed one. So we have things we can do for that, and we do them. So none of these issues I'm describing are permanent. Absolutely nothing of this is permanent. So don't think, oh my God, I've realized this terrible, horrible truth and there's no way out. Because that's your logical ego mind saying, uh-oh, I don't think there's a way out. Which is fear. Co-creating in your brain, the logic mind saying, I must protect this body at all costs. And if I have an intellectual danger, it must also be a physical danger, which isn't, the body is not a philosopher, okay? The body is like, is this a dangerous threat? Or is that just a picture on a TV screen and I can chill out? Demented consciousness doesn't know the difference. So our very kind brothers and sisters, bodhisattvas of the Buddhist path, we teach to still the mind, to silence the logic, and how to become, to realign with the observer, the part of us that is merely observing and allowing, not necessarily interactive, being stimulated, eating energy. This is a stillness of heart and mind that is cultivated through meditation and through mind exercises, really. Yoga for the mind. And believe me, I needed it back. So my Buddhist lineage, Karma Kagyu, under my guru, Sri Mamo Devi, I learned about my monkey mind, the distraction, and the adversary, and how my nagging voices were echoes of my past mixed with the people I'd grown up around, their attitudes, their very strong attitudes, their very negative attitudes that was infused in me as a cultural being. And that's how I survived too. I took on some of their survival mechanisms, which were also sick. And so one of my things I do a lot is make fun of people. And things in ways that didn't matter, like their fashion sense. I mean, like, really, what's that got to do with the price of tea? You know, nothing. So I pick on people in my mind or with a friend at a distance, not really in their face usually. And one day, my sister and my mother were watching television, and so was I. And I guess I was a teenager at this time. And they both opened their mouths talking to each other, and out comes this diatribe of how horrible somebody's dress is and what an idiot they must be and how they must be a terrible person to even consider wearing that dress. And they just tore this person to shreds. To shreds. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly the voice in my head.
Hey, here she comes now. Oh, you know her, Miss Groupie Supreme. Yeah, you know her. Variable on parade, red eyeshadow, green mascara. She's too much, acting like a soap opera queen. And she's so dope. Come on, rip her to shreds. She's so dope. Come on, rip her to shreds.
Oh my God, I got to fix that. But that was the first observance of it. And my guru taught me, she said, hey, come here. You know, she gave me the guru gnosis of, like, when she said something, sometimes it became crystally glass clear. It was magic. And it's as if she took her knowledge and literally put it in my head. Yep, that's exactly what it was. She was that cool. And she said, monkey mind, which is a very big clue of what my brain was doing. And she said, this is the teaching of mindfulness. So for 1 week, I want you to observe quietly the voices in your head. And I did, and it drove me nuts. Oh, it drove me crazy. I was like, Guru Devi, I have spent this week in hell. Please, Guru Demi, save me from the waves of samsara. And she says, this is the reason for meditation, my love. This is the reason why we strive for a clear mind, for an empty pond, so that we're not full and then try to put more in on top of it, because what you're full of is foolishness. Obviously, now you see that. It wasn't a trick. It wasn't magic. All you did was listen to yourself. And all I did was tell you to do it. Not really. I mean, she really energetically, she gave me the whole lesson in a download, and then I took it home for a week and experienced it. And it's like, here, take 2 of these and call me next week. And I was taking the medicine every day that she gave me in my mind and my heart, energetically, this medicine with this philosophy with it, like, who's talking in your head and why are they there? You know, just this open wonderment, to be in the wonder and to be in the discovery of it. And so she focused me like a laser to see exactly what was wrong with my psyche as far as the voices were concerned, as far as repetitive patterns, as far as chasing my own tail, as far as riddling myself out of existence. So I began to understand and to learn the stillness of the pond of the mind. And the most important reasons to have this, those people who are lost in logic, who are integrating into the great fields of science, math, numbers, line, restriction, measurement, most of them will never be open to these types of experiences, because it is in their survival mechanism to keep adding, to keep counting, to keep going, and not to listen and not to be. That's why people like Tesla are so rare. He could be. He was spiritual. He had a soul. He was immortal. And he showed us the light. So you don't have to be some Indian yogi guru to show people the light. It can happen in every profession, you know, and on from there. Of course, the great creations of humankind that are graduated from the world of suffering, which is where we're going. The rainbow promises of tomorrow. I feel like it is a good place for most normal, logical people to start at the observance mode, to be quiet, to be humble enough to allow yourself to get quiet, and to stay quiet for as a ritual, as a routine, and to open yourself in allowance, which is faith and trust. Honestly, if you don't have that, you might never get here. You got to trust that there's something bigger than you that loves you more than you can imagine. Once you have that faith and trust built on, who cares what it's built on? Make it up in your head. I mean, if you're going to brainwash yourself about something, brainwash yourself about, there is something bigger in this universe that loves me more than I can imagine. Because that's the healthiest thought, actually. If you think you have all these thoughts to choose from, and that whatever thought you choose is your future, then choose that one. So fake the faith till you make the faith, because you think faith is proven to you. You think God has to do tricks and show you magic. What's magic is listening to yourself, hearing the voices that are not yours, that are co-creative echoes from your past, from your family, from your culture, meant to enslave you. When you see the slavery of the mind as your own shadow, as your own boogeyman, then you can face it. And you know what? That's just the beginning. That is literally 101. And I really hope you all get here real soon.
All right. Listen here, baby. Let's step back to some place. Let me stand next to your fire. Let me stand next to your